You're listening to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast, episode 102. Welcome to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast, where growth and spirituality create an enhanced life's journey, balancing life with the wisdom of Egun, Ifa, and Orisha in our everyday lives. I am your host, Ivon. Welcome to another episode of the Orisha Wisdom Podcast. After, I guess, in the second phase, it's amazing. Welcome back. This is an episode that is good for everyone. Let's drink some tea, water, whatever it is, and let's you and I chat together. Today's episode is about a word that you have heard over and over and over again. It's about the Boveda. This episode is all about starting with a Boveda. We're going to talk about the importance of a Boveda, but not in this is the definition and we're not going to start there. No. We're going to start in official Orisha Wisdom fashion. You're going to hear a lot of papers rustling because I got notes. But this won't be that long. At least that's what I'm hoping for. Won't be that long. And we are going to talk about this topic because the topic of the Boveda is an exhaustive, it is so large. And I think we need to eat the elephant one bite at a time. And I'm going to share something. And actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, because a veces se me olvidan las cosas. Sometimes I forget things. I'm going to write something for later. Okay. I just want to make sure. Let's start. I think that it would be best if we start with some stories and some lessons. And this way, you're able to kind of relate better than just to, here is what a Boveda is. This is why it is good for you. And yada, yada, yada. Not that those teachings are bad, people, but it's not how I roll. So we may need more episodes. And I think that that's okay. That way you're able to kind of come back and listen and just make sure that this sinks in. And as always, if you've ever heard of, this is something that I've always told everyone, especially the folks who started out with Alejos 101, not shameless plug, by the way. Alejos 101 2.0 is going to be coming really, really soon. And yeah, But I used to say that when you listen, you have to listen with your whole body. And this is what I'm going to ask you all to do today. Let's listen with our entire bodies so that we are able to kind of see if this message resonates or not. It may not. What can I say? A Boveda is a lifetime topic. I think that there could be an entire podcast dedicated to the Boveda and it could run for years and still there's many more topics to go on. That's how big it is. So when I was thinking about starting, you're going to understand the reasoning why now this topic. Let's go for this. When I was much younger, I put up a Boveda, because what is it that they tell you? Put a Boveda up, put a Boveda up. And you're like, ooh. And then you go to the store and you're going to get your little glasses and you're going to put your little, white piece of cloth. And you're like, oh, and my white flowers too. And there's a cross and there's Florida water. There's like all the stuff, right? I got my Allan Kardec book and my other selective prayers and the other selective prayers and the other selective. And yeah, and I went for it because why not? So imagínate. Imagine this. I'm sitting in front of the Boveda. It is lit with my 7-day candle, which back in the days, at least that was like 5 days. Now it's like 3-day candles, and we still call it 7-day candles. And I'm sitting there, and everything looks so pretty. And I'm reading all these prayers. By the way, I read as many prayers as I could. I didn't know that there was some that you shouldn't read on your own, but whatever. You know why? You know what happened? Nothing. Don't I have, I think I have, hold on a second. I think I have something. Okay. So now we can go. You know what happened also? After me sitting there, I felt silly. And I would stare at those glasses, man, because I was going to will to something to happen. And you know what happened? Yeah, that's what happened. Nothing happened. Not a thing. And when you are in the middle of trying to learn something, it's so disappointing. Everybody's talking about how wonderful having a Boveda is. And I'm sitting there and it's crickets day in, day out. That day in, day out turn into week in, week out. Then every 2 weeks. Then every 3 weeks. Then every, I don't know. Can't remember. When I went into another spiritual house, an announcement was made. This announcement was, you don't need that. We have other things here. Let me tell you, that announcement wasn't even finished being said. And I was running to my bone dry Boveda to pull that sucker down. Let me tell you, I was thrilled. I'm like, you mean I don't have to take care of these glasses no more? No more glasses? No more candles? No connection? Great. We are totally going to do this. Wait, hold on a second. Who's watched Harry Potter? I am free, Dobby. I can't. My brain, let me tell you, I don't know. This is just how I think. Or was I? During that time, I was told that I had no eguns. I had no spirits in my court. And that's for another time. But it will be important in this episode. For almost 2 decades, no Boveda. No connection with that whatsoever. I was asked, it was demanded, it was the way that it was, to pay homage to something else. Now let's fast forward to 2022. I am told that I will be unalived, because we can't use certain words no more, by the spirits, but that someone stepped in to say, no, we can't do that. So in the meantime, I'm going to adjust my mic. Give me a second. There we go. But in the meantime, I mean, it's scary. I was told that Ogun could, as I now have defied him, could end me. The spirits could do this. Other people could finish me off. And the person in question wouldn't have to get his hands dirty. Allegedly. We got to say that nowadays. Allegedly. This part is still going to be important, but I'm not going to go into that part of my story. Now, when I leave that situation is where this kind of begins to take shape. I have, at this point, lost my home, my husband, one of my children, my spiritual family, and my family, like real. And there is the important part, drum roll please, I have no muertos. That is my belief. Now, for all you people over there and all your feritistas, stop screaming over there. Tell your muertos to calm down. Calm down. Because I'm just retelling where I was. So let's go back there. And this was a difficult episode to write because I had to go back there. Think about it. Now, at that time, I am alone. I thought I would be deleted. I felt worthless. I felt that no one could help me. And would maybe, but because I have no muertos, I have no one in my court, and I might have angered all of my Orishas and the Orishas, which I thought I still had at that time. So we are before me finding out. We need to pause here. We need to pause here for a moment. Now enter the community. Enter the real babalawos, the oriates, the obases, and the plethora of all orishas, paleros, espiritistas, and then other folks from other places. When they enter the scene, it was very interesting because from people cursing and screaming because questions were asked, and the thing is, I think I'm going to cover, I don't want to get ahead because I remember my notes. Enter someone. Enter Tata X. And I'm going to use X because I don't have permission to use his name here. And I don't want to get in trouble. Thank you, by the way. Thank you, Miss K. Miss K knows she was the first to appear. And when she gave me her advice, I was like, whoa. After that, enter a bunch of priests with their spirits, non-priests with their spirits, more priests with their spirits, and Little Big V, and to the gypsy clans. And when I say clans, I mean clans. We're talking a bunch of them that showed up. These are living people, by the way. Some. Anyway. Definitely the gypsy clans. They're living. And they show up to tell me what I refused to believe. That I did have spirits in my court. That I always had them. And I'm like, what in the... Oh, that's right. I did say this episode is for everybody. What in the hell? I was going to say other things. I'm just saying. For years, I had thought that this couldn't be so. In that one misa that I had, that one coronación, there was no 3 misas. It was just one. No one came. No Egun came. No Egun spoke for me. And I'm like, WTF. So here's the question. How could they all be wrong? How could they all be wrong? They didn't know each other. Many of those people did not know each other in any way. Nothing. no lineage, different states, different countries. Oh my God, different priests in different countries weighed in on my situation. And they're like, I don't know what you're talking about, because even when this is going on in your spiritual court right this second there. And I'm like, wait, what? And in my mind, I'm like, no, this can't be right. Now, this person, I do have his permission from back in the days. I hope this still stands. So enter Tata Macho. And he did say, like I said, he did say I could use his name before. So I am peoples. And he, with another Tata, so we're going to call him Tata X, tell me how to levantar una bóveda. But Tata Macho took over this portion. And I'm going to say this for the record. There are a million ways to start a bóveda. So don't shoot me, people. Do not shoot me, because I'm going to explain one way. And this is what I did. But there are other ways. So if somebody says, that's not right, just, you know what? Yep, you're right. Everybody's right. Because there's more than one way to skin a cat. Actually, cats don't really allow that. Skin a goat. All right. I'm going to start, because this only says for me to tell the story. So he tells me, mira, what you're going to do is you're going to grab yourself like a piece of wood or something, like a flat piece of wood, something that you can move around. I said, no problem. He goes, you got books? I said, plenty. He goes, excellent. And you have a little table? No. He goes, get one. I said, no problem. I'm going to get one. And then he goes, what you're going to do, you're going to start with 9 glasses. I think I started with 9 glasses. 9 glasses, you're going to get the 8 around it. You're going to have that big one in the middle. If you can, get a crucifijo, but don't worry about it. Start like today and tomorrow. He told me the following, very important. Every single day, you're going to do the following. You're going to take a white bath. For 9 days, you're going to do this whole thing. Try to do this at the same time. Pick a time, anytime. We weren't even getting complicated on meridians. Like he said, just pick a time. And if you can't for one day, you continue the next because of whatever happened. Like just try to make it for 9 consecutive days. I said, bueno, está bien. No problem. So you're going to take 9 white baths. That means 1 every day. Every single day, you're going to light a new candle, like a little penny candle. And you're going to raise. So it's going to have book on the left-hand side, and you have to pick it up slowly. Because remember, now you have glasses that have water, and then you're going to pick the other one and raise it up. You're going to do this for 9 whole days. You're going to lift, and you're going to pray. You're going to sit there. You're going to try. It's got to be quiet time. So I made sure that my little one was sleeping, and this was my time. Did I feel anything? I don't know. I don't know. I was hopeful, but something was different. Something was very, very different. On the 9th day, you pick up all the things, and then I was able to, by that time, I had gotten myself a little table that I got for dirt cheap on Facebook Marketplace. And when I mean dirt cheap, but I had to drive real far to get it. And I get my little mesita, and I put the little white cloth that I had, and I put the flowers, and I did the things, and I sit there, and it was pretty. But it was something else that came along with it. It was a feeling of, you know when you go to grandma's house and grandma loves you and adores you? She don't even need to greet you at the door, but you know that grandma's home and grandma gonna hook you up. It's kind of like that, but very subtly. My thoughts, I wrote here to write what I thought. I don't remember all of the things that I thought, but at this point, what in the hell did I have to lose? I don't have any spirits anyway. They're telling me that I do. There are egons that are talking. There are spirits that are talking. There are people that are like, listen, that was one wild ride. And I'll tell you, I wanted it to be true. And I was still in that, I don't know. But that other place told me that I didn't have any muertos. Like, why would I need to do that? They're like, no, you don't understand. You need to do this. You need to do this. You need to do this. Now I'm going to pause here for a moment. Why am I pausing here? I'm going to pause here because you could start it with 1 glass. You could start it with 3. You could start it with 4. You could start it with 7. You could start it with 9. But from what I understand, a lot of people start with just that 1, and that's okay. And the point is to start how you are told or feel if no one is there to continue. And this is, I think, the part that got me, because I felt retarded, like just, ugh. I felt just crazy. I felt bad. But that was 20 years prior. What changed? 20-something years at that point. What changed was this was different. They always say that the most dangerous animal is the one that is cornered and has nothing else to lose. That was me. At least I was getting there. I was still petrified, but I'm like, no me queda otra. I don't have anything else. Let me go for it. Okay? And here's the thing. As long as you start is what's important. Because, trust me when I say this, they'll tell you what they want and what they need. So if they really need 3 glasses and not 1, they're going to let you know. You're going to meet someone. They're going to tell you your spirit said the following, or it's going to keep repeating, and you're going to do it. Now, the prayers. The prayers were different this time around than 20-something odd years ago, because they were done with fervor. You know what that means? When you put your all into them, that's what happens. And because, that's where my note went. Because I felt like I had nothing left and nothing left to lose spiritually, I gave it all that I had and then some. 9 days passed. The messages began. Now more in earnest. Now the messages were there before. And I literally wrote this down. I have it right here, but I was incredulous. And that was the correct word. I didn't believe. Because I was thinking that maybe I was wrong. Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe they were right in that spiritual house. I didn't believe. I wrote that in my notes. I wanted to believe, but I couldn't believe. And you know that's interesting when they're telling you things. When they're telling you things, and guess what? You still don't believe it. You don't believe it, and they're telling it to you. People say they see proof, but your eyes can't see it. Now, let's go into what a Boveda is. I promise you, I got 2 words to define it. Ready? A portal. A portal. Un portal. It's like their club, their hangout, their calm Zen place, the place where they chill, where they socialize. With who? With you. Where you and them can commune. Where you can give them little things, light, water, goodies, so they can manifest with you. So they can manifest for you. It's like taking care of a plant. If they give you a plant, you can't expect to water it once and it's done. No, it takes many care visits. It takes sunlight. It takes pruning. If there's a bug, it takes for you removing those little pests. Oh, I had that happen to me with with 2 plants that I had. Oh my God. I got rid of those little bugs, but it got all the sticky stuff on it. Oh, it was just crazy. But you know what? I should go water it. I should go water it. And that began, which is interesting because after I put that Boveda up is where things started to speed up to the point of where I got some of the biggest confirmations that no one in that other place can give me. And it began like the fire again. It began the fire in this tradition again. But it was different. I was going through a lot of other emotions. Like I was going through mourning all the time that I had left go. I was mourning the fact that no one really knew anything about my court, but it was right there. And I didn't know about them. They knew about me, obviously. They're walking with you. They walk with you every single day. And here's another tidbit for you. Just because you don't believe, that does not mean that they're still not there for you. I think that I've always said that being a mother is one of the most thankless jobs ever. Thankless. I should know about that. Oh boy, do I know about that. But I think eguns, those spiritual courts, even those ancestors that come around and they're there, that's really bad because many times you don't even know they're there. And you have many that haven't even come forward and they're still working on your behalf. And we don't even say thank you, or we don't even know they're there, especially for people who don't know what's going on with their spiritual stuff. They're still there anyway. Like that doesn't matter. Now, I have something because we're going to be winding up really, really soon. A very important person in my life tells me, yes, abodes are different. Spiritual trabajos, they're important, especially when you're going through stuff. Maybe somebody's throwing at you. Those things really do happen. But there are less worries. And I'm like, why is this? He goes, well, I tend to them. So they're always strong to fight. And then they can fight for you when you're not there. Or you are there. But when you don't know that it's there. So there's like, there can be many things that are thrown at you. And if your spirits are well taken care of, then they have all the strength to fight. Does that make sense? Well, I hope so. We are going to take a pause here because I think that this topic requires a lot more than just one episode. And I'm going to tell you something. I hope you found this episode helpful. It went short, straight to the point, and you think that this episode is for you, right? Well, this episode was made for me because I need to tend to my spiritual flower pot, if that makes sense, after everything we just spoke. And I have my struggles when it comes to certain things with that Boveda, and I think it's from the past. I think is what's going on. And here's another thing I'm going to give you. They understand. They understand what you're going through. They're not going to punish you because you didn't do this or you didn't do the other. But sometimes, things are going to happen. And they're like, bueno, if you would have tended to me a little bit better, then maybe. But that didn't happen, did it? So, I am going to tell you, if you don't have a Boveda, I strongly recommend you to start one. I strongly recommend that when you do it with your whole heart, quiet, If you're a morning person, do it in the morning. If you're a night person, do it at night. No cell phone, no TV. Some people play music in the background. Have I done that? Now I got to think. Maybe once or twice. I'm not big on that. But sometimes that may help you. The reason why I say I wouldn't, or it has to be very, 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 very low, is so that in case you do go into it and you get a thought, you get a feeling, you write it down. Good. That's a good reminder. Get yourself a little notebook. I don't care. It could be a composition notebook. I don't care. Your nice notebook, whatever. Keep yourself a pen there. That's all, and I feel hot. I feel itchy. I feel whatever. I don't know. I just thought of whatever. Oh my God. There's like that tree that I used to play with my bestie when I was like 5. Write that down. It may mean something. It may not. It may be your mind sorting out thoughts. But sometimes, let me tell you, over time, that could get really interesting. Now I need to grab my notebook. Go figure. Listen, the Boveda journey for me has been the beginning of a rebirth. And this is why the name was changed. Not just to Ivon. I actually have to change the intro. So now I can say Ivon Reborn, because it began the rebirth of me. Now I no longer am alone. And yes, you can talk to your spiritual courts. You can talk to your eguns wherever you're at, but this is a special spot for them. And this can be the beginning of unlocking a lot of things that were locked inside you and even around you. And again, you think, and if you do feel that this message is for you, great. But I wrote this because sometimes I need a reminder that I have freaking amazing eguns in my court. And I'm so grateful. And sometimes I go through moments because I feel like, oh my God, and I'm sorry that I didn't know you were there. I had no clue you were there. And now what? Now what? So I want you to, sorry, I was trying to fix something while I was down here. Go figure. I'm always doing stuff. I want you to, as you're starting this process, you don't need it to be perfect. The one thing I was told, start with what you got tomorrow, and everything else, I remember that's when I ordered the little cross and a little bell. Very important, a little bell. Doesn't have to be very fancy, just a little bell to ring. And you make that whenever you go there, you ring that bell, and then you speak, you sit, you're still. Cannot be a quick thing. And for me, that's the part that has been the hardest for me. But I'm not going to let that stop me. You know how I roll. So, I don't know where your journey is regarding the Boveda, whether you need to go back and fall in love with it again, try again. Over the many years, many people lose their their connection, their luster with the Boveda. And that's okay. Absolutely okay. But you could start over. You know what I mean? And then you can begin to reignite that connection with your spiritual cord. So before we leave, this, of course, we are down at the very end, but I want to mention something to you. I have been going live and doing my best to go weekly live to review live past episodes of the Orisha Wisdom Podcast on YouTube and TikTok. TikTok has been an absolute failure. I have yet to figure out the technology. I'm sorry, people. YouTube has been the place where at least I got it to work once. We're working on the technology. So if you haven't, go to the Ivon Reborn Orisha Wisdom page on YouTube and check out the listings, and they're going to be posted on when the live is going to be. I'm going to try again for this week coming on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm announcing it because I am going to will the technology gods to help me with that dang project so that we could talk. Whenever I make these podcasts, it's very rarely that I rehear it again. It is so rare. So I want to open that up. And another thing that happened while I have you all here is that back in the days, I used to put Ask a Priest on OrishaWisdom.com page. I used to say, ask a priest. You could go into that place and you can ask a question. But life lifed me, and a lot of the tools I had to let go of for a myriad of reasons, but I was able to change it. It's, of course, Ask Orisha Wisdom. And you can go to OrishaWisdom.com/AskOW. Ask Orisha Wisdom. And I fixed it. So now you can ask your question. And if you ask your question there, put your name, put your email. I don't have a full email list again yet. I'm working on that. I promise. We really are being reborn, starting over. And I am so grateful for the amazing welcome back that I got for the Orisha Wisdom podcast. And I cannot thank you enough. So I wanted to make sure that I got those 2 points out before we ended this episode. So I would love to hear your comments, forward it so we can put Orisha Wisdom podcast back on the map. Thank you to all of you on this, for hanging out with me on this 102nd episode. I can't believe it. 102, like what? Anyhow, may your spiritual court, may you connect with your spiritual court. May your eguns always have that connection with you so that all of them will help you get to where you need to go. May all of your elevated spirits and ancestors bless you immensely this day and every day during your ups and during your downs. And it's funny, I was about to say Odabo, but we could. But in the meantime, what I'm going to say is, until next time. Thank you for listening to the Orisha Wisdom podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes at OrishaWisdom.com/podcast. Can't get enough of Orisha Wisdom? Check us out at OrishaWisdom.com and subscribe to our community. Remember, the wisdom of Egun, Orisha, and Ifa is all around us. Be blessed, and until next time.